What's up, fart sniffers and butt lickers? Welcome back to Trades and Gains. And today we're talking about the United States economy, which, much like Amazon, is just surging and doing a bunch of shit behind the scenes you wouldn't think about. Also, the Fed is currently acting like a divorced dad who just discovered therapy, suddenly wants to take things meeting by meeting. Novo Nordisk tried to cure Alzheimer's, but I think they forgot that they administered the test, ironically enough, and then ended up giving investors a stroke. Amazon, it did reveal it has more data centers than Starbucks currently. And Alibaba launched a chat GPT rival that China can actually download without a VPN. And Trump is deciding whether to hand China the keys to the AI kingdom by allowing NVIDIA to sell its most advanced chips to Beijing. So, yeah, other than that, everything's going great right now. You can't really complain, right? Let's go ahead, kick things in the balls, and talk about the Federal Reserve because nothing says holiday season like a central bank absolutely panicking and shitting their pants. Fed Governor Christopher Waller, a man who looks like the professor you cheated off of in Econ 101, just said he's personally advocating for a December rate cut. Not open to, not monitoring conditions, not leaning dovish. No, he's advocating. This is Fed speak for, the economy, it's on thin ice. And the labor market is that guy at the ice rink who weighs 400 pounds and insists on skating backwards. Waller says the labor market is quote unquote weak and inflation progress has stalled. And he wants a cut because workers are hurting, which is funny considering this is the same Fed that spent 2 years trying to make workers hurt. Make up your minds, people. You can't crash the economy, blame the crash on tariffs, and campaign for a job promotion at the same time. And oh, yeah, Waller is also interviewing to replace Jerome Powell as Fed chair under Trump. Nothing says independent central bank like auditioning for the next season of The Apprentice Monetary Edition or for being the head woman on Real Housewives Jackson Hole. Meanwhile, the Fed is currently divided. Susan Collins says, yeah, no cut, inflation concerns, let's go ahead and wait this out. Lori Logan says, she won't cut unless inflation starts to collapse. Jefferson says job losses matter more now. And Waller, he wanted a cut yesterday, apparently. The Fed right now has the vibes of a group project where one guy wants to go home, one wants extra credit, and one keeps rewriting the presentation the night before. Now, Waller also says January will be tricky because we'll finally get October jobs, November jobs, and November CPI. All after the December meeting, by the way. So the Fed is basically doing surgery with the lights off, using the wrong chart, in the wrong room, on the wrong patient. Imagine trying to drive your car while the dashboard is unplugged. This is monetary policy right now. But sure, let's move rates meeting by meeting. What could possibly go wrong here? Now, let's go ahead and talk about your grandparents' favorite medication, Novo Nordisk, the company whose weight loss drugs turned half of the country into Ozempic girl summer. Well, guess what? They just tried to cure Alzheimer's, and instead, they cured their market cap. The Alzheimer's trial failed so badly, analysts are calling it worse than expected, which is rich because the expected profitability of success was 10%. 10%. That's lower than the approval rating of airline food currently. Novo tried to see if semaglutide, their golden goose, could slow cognitive decline. It can't. It's not even close. It's like a Dutch guy running in the 100-meter dash at the Olympics. It just does not fit. The trial was stopped early because patients showed virtually no benefits. That's right. The drug that can melt fat couldn't melt amyloid plaques. Novo stock, it dropped 12%. The kind of fall you'd need Ozempic to recover from. Well, Wall Street, they hoped GLP-1 drugs were the next Alzheimer's frontier. Turns out the frontier is still a desert. Meanwhile, Biogen stock jumped 5% just because their Alzheimer's drug didn't fail that day. Now, let's go ahead and talk about something a little more interesting. Amazon, the company that already knows what you want to buy before you know you want to return it. Bloomberg discovered that AWS secretly operates. There's 900 data centers. 900. But you're probably like, why are there so many? Well, because training AI models requires enough electricity to power a small dictatorship. Amazon has 440 colocation centers, basically cloud Airbnbs, 220 plus edge locations, hundreds of hyperscale sites, and they don't disclose most of them because one, they don't want hackers to find them, two, they don't want regulations to count them, and three, they don't want citizens to know why their grid keeps exploding. Environmental groups say that data centers are straining the electric grid. Amazon said it's not just us, it's everyone else who also uses electricity, which is the corporate version of everyone was speeding, officer. Why'd you pull me over? Amazon is also quietly renting space from 180 different companies. At this point, AWS is like the guy subleasing apartments in a dozen cities, but actually lives in an airport lounge. But the important takeaway is this. This is the real AI arms race. Compute capacity. Not the models, not the algorithms, not the billion-dollar chips, it's the buildings. AI is the industrial revolution, powered by server racks. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Alibaba, everybody's favorite place to buy fake Nike Dunks. They launched their chat GPT rival, Qwen, and it hit 10 million downloads in a week. 10 million, that's insane. Qwen is now China's fastest growing AI assistant, integrated into shopping, food delivery, maps, and payments, and basically China's version of having ChatGPT built into your whole phone. And unlike ChatGPT, it doesn't need a VPN, which means for the first time, China has a domestic model that can scale massively. Alibaba investors are calling this their quote unquote restore the empire moment. The company's valuation has been crushed for 3 years, and this is the first sign of a comeback. Imagine if Yahoo suddenly released the best AI model in the US. Exactly. That just would not feel right in any regard. And lastly, let's talk about our favorite orange Dorito, Trump. He is deciding whether the US will allow NVIDIA to sell H200 AI chips to China. Yes, because nothing says national security like letting the world's fastest growing superpower buy your smartest brain chips. Trump's Commerce Secretary said this decision is quote unquote on Trump's desk, which is interesting because historically things on Trump desks have not ended well. NVIDIA wants to sell the chips. China wants to buy the chips. National security hawks wants everyone to stop selling chips to everyone. And Trump is now deciding whether to A, help NVIDIA dominate global AI hardware, or B, keep China technologically contained. Either way, one country is going to be very happy, but the question is which one? So let's make like a condom and wrap this thing up. 1, the Fed is playing musical chairs with rate cuts currently. 2, Novo Nordisk tried to cure Alzheimer's and instead cured their stock bubble. 3, Amazon owns the global power grid now. 4, Alibaba suddenly has a real AI contender. And finally, Trump is deciding whether to give China NVIDIA super chips like a diplomatic stocking stuffer. Welcome to the global economy, folks, where everyone is improvising, nobody knows the rules, and the only constant is that the stock market hates surprises. This is Trades and Gains. I'm Max Pitts. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment your most hot take below this video, and who knows, maybe I'll include it in the next one because we're all about the community here. I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you all have a great day, and come hop on our Twitch stream where we're currently just watching this boring ass price action in the market. Catch you guys tomorrow.